In Tasmania last weekend, starting with one between two of last year's semi-finalists. The first match we'll look at from last week's Launceston round saw 94 champions Adelaide Contax up against Sydney CENOVIS. After back-to-back losses, Contax needed a win. Shooting superstar Vicky Wilson was partnered by Sarah Angove in the Contax attack end. Audine Cobb and Monica Dynan joined the tough and gritty Vicky Neal across the midcourt, and Australian reps Kath Harvey and Sarah Sutter were at the back. Contax are coached by Marg Ango. For CENOVIS, Nerida Stewart and captain Katrina Wagg were in the circle. The midcourt comprised Wheatley, Gilmore and the tenacious Marianne Murphy, with Alison Williams and leaping Liz Ellis at the back. CENOVIS are coached by Julie Fitzgerald. Before the match, we asked both coaches about on-court discipline and umpiring, among other things.
The Contax Garble game a few weeks ago, if netball is played like that at the Worlds, I think that there would be some fairly severe penalties on the contact and perhaps players taking up a space that wasn't theirs. So it was quite a rough and hard physical game on both sides, and we were a little bit alarmed by the attention that Vicky Wilson received. However, that's the way it goes, and when you lose, you can't just blame umpires.
It's definitely a lot more physical than it was a few years ago. I've noticed over the last 12 months, 18 months, that the umpires, the coaches and the players are discussing this side of it a lot more, and I think that'll only improve the situation. We get to talk to them now if we're not happy about the way things are being interpreted, and the same with us, so that's only going to improve it, I think. Discipline on court is a little bit of both, or a lot of both. I mean, the players have to be disciplined, they have to be cool and calm and make the right decisions, and the umpires have to pick the first infringement, because when they don't do that, I think then that starts the lack of discipline or the unfairness in the player's mind. So I think it's on both parts, it's very important. Primarily, I think on-court discipline is the responsibility of the coach. There's discipline that you have to instill in your team, which you start at training sessions and things like that, but the umpire needs to control them on court as well, and I think it's a two-way thing. The team's strengths would be obviously Vicky Wilson up forward. She's a target for us, but she's also a target for everybody else. And our Australian defenders in Catherine Harvey and Sarah Sutter. However, and I think over the last weekend, we didn't really all play our own game, or the girls didn't do their own bit, so we relied very heavily on those players, and that can be very costly when, you know, they've got such good players against them. I think we've got good strength overall. Obviously, having the Australian players in each area of the court's a great benefit. We're very young. A few of our players are getting a lot of experience through this, and we're a great team. We love being together, we like travelling together, and that's a benefit to us on court. They've got Marianne Murphy and Katrina Wagg and Liz Ellis in their side, so they've got some very, very good or excellent Australian players, and we hope that we can sort of hold them and push forward and get 2 points. They've got a lot to go for tonight. Obviously, they're looking for a win. I expect them to be very strong, physical, fast, but I think we're a lot more up to taking them on this year than we were last year when we were so new at this and inexperienced.
With 3 Australian representatives apiece, this match had the makings of a classic encounter. After a rare Vicky Wilson miss, the rebound by Alison Williams put CENOVIS into counter-attack. They worked their way deliberately down court in the face of tight marking by their opponents. This was in fact definitive of the first few minutes of the match, which saw defence triumph over attack. Contax didn't score until 2 minutes 15 into the quarter, while CENOVIS remained goalless until 3:35 into the match. The attacking raid, which was to break the deadlock, was begun by Harvey. After Angove missed the target, it was Vicky Wilson who completed the business. 1-0 to Contax, but the CENOVIS defence was definitely on the job. Steady combinations at the attack end by CENOVIS finally resulted in their first goal to Wagg. Contax led 2-1 after 5 minutes. Contax too were beginning to flow. From this centre pass by Neal, the ball travelled through Cobb, Angove, Cobb again and then on to Wilson, despite a great defensive leap by Ellis, the champion goal. On the Contax bench, their coach had plenty to say. The Adelaide side were really finding their range, and in this sequence, the ball went from Dynan to Harvey, back to Dynan, onto Angove, who found Cobb, Wilson and Neal waiting to play their part. After touching 8 sets of hands, the ball once more found Wilson, who put it through. CENOVIS, however, were proving resilient in the face of this onslaught. After Stewart found Murphy, the Australian player ripped a lovely high ball from the edge of the circle onto Wagg, who outleapt Sutter to put it away. The battle between attack and defence raged on. After Monica Dynan had handled twice in this delightful approach, Vicky Neal's final pass to Wilson was intercepted by a high-flying Alison Williams. After 10 minutes, it was level at 5 apiece. Contax, however, wouldn't be put off. They held their rhythm, and it was only touches like this from Ellis which deterred them. This turnover of possession led to 7 sets of hands taking part in the build-up until Nerida Stewart completed the move. This goal saw the Sydney-siders grab the lead for the first time and encouraged them to maintain their defensive effort. From the next centre pass, Neal put Contax on the charge again. However, this time a brilliant touch by wing defence Reagan Gilmore closed them down. After Ellis and Wag were involved, the ball found Wheatley, who fed Stewart for the goal. CENOVIS led 10-8 at the break, and while coach Fitzgerald engaged Murphy in a tactical discussion on the Sydney bench, Contax captain Harvey had some ideas of her own to turn things around. CENOVIS opened strongly in the second stanza. Excellent perimeter passing had the effect of putting the Contax defenders out of position. At the end of this passage, Stewart put it in and they led 12-11 after 5 minutes of the quarter. CENOVIS continued to mount pressure with good attacking build-up across the court. However, the final pass began to go astray. This time, Harvey made the grab, flicked it onto Angove and quickly to Wilson for the goal. Contax had travelled the full length of the court in just 2 passes. Contax, growing in confidence, began to express their optimism with flourish and style, sometimes daring attacking manoeuvres like this one, having the desired result. Wilson and Ellis were having their own battle in the circle. This time, Wilson stepped, faked and out-positioned her opponent in a consummate display of off-the-ball skills. From this centre pass by Neal, the Adelaide side kept the pressure on. After Cobb, Angove and Neal had handled, Wilson did what she does best. 10 minutes of the second quarter had elapsed and Contax had staged a 4-goal turnaround to lead by 2. Again, Contax spread the ball around, waiting for their opponents to falter. Steady hands and the ability to wait for their chances enabled them to capitalise. At half-time, it was 23-18 in favour of Contax. However, coach Marg Angove wasn't totally happy and pulled daughter Sarah, replacing her with Sharon Purser at goal attack. CENOVIS worked hard at outmanoeuvring the Contax defence at the start of the third quarter. It was now or never for the Sydney side, and after a movement which saw the ball pass through 7 pairs of hands, Nerida Stewart received the final pass from Katrina Wag and put it away for the first goal of the term. At the other end of the court, Neal's long ball to Cobb set up Sharon Purser's first attempt and the replacement made no mistake. After scoring 4 goals apiece in the first 5 minutes of the quarter, it was Contax who broke away. Despite the close attention of Ellis, Vicky Wilson found that having Purser in the circle was creating more space. Harvey was generating plenty of opportunities with her precise passing, and with Wilson occasionally venturing to the front of the circle, Purser was proving to be a danger in her own right. Contax by 5 after 10. With the defence of the Sydney-siders having to work to contain 2 effective goalers, Contax were able to exercise more attacking options. This time, Purser with the long bomb. CENOVIS needed to pull out the good stuff to respond to the brilliant attack of Contax, and some snappy passing between Wag and Stewart resulted in this one to their hard-working captain. Rebecca Sanders had come on as wing attack for Contax, replacing the injured Ordine Cobb. That disruption to their line had no effect on Contax, and this goal to Wilson was one of the 16 they scored in the quarter. CENOVIS hit 10. Leading 39-28 coming into the final quarter, Contax continued to freewheel fine understanding and precision passing. Neal handled 3 times in the development of this Purser success. From the next centre pass, their fluency prevailed again, the ball hitting 5 pairs of hands before Purser, on her way to 87% for the quarter, nailed it. After 10 minutes of the final stanza, Adelaide had outscored their opponents by 10 goals to 4. The timing and breadth of their passing was a delight. This time, Wilson's long ball to Sanders put CENOVIS into disarray. Then a confident Purser buried another one. Whilst the game had already been lost, CENOVIS managed to string together some sequences which augur well for their future matches, and they actually took the final 5 minutes of the quarter by 5 goals to 3. At the final whistle, Contax took the match by 52-37, a result which pleased their captain, Kath Harvey.
It was a disappointing start to the season, but obviously now we're on the road to the finals, hopefully, and we can only look forward to better things to come from Contax.
For a first match of the season, it wasn't too bad. We were coming in against Contax, who just played 2 games last weekend, so really they're 2 games ahead of us. And compared to last year's game against Contax, it wasn't too bad. I think we are learning and we're moving up.
The top 3 teams are very tough. It's going to be touch and go to see the top 4 sides in the finals, and then when it comes to the finals, I think it's going to be a different ball game, and whoever's performing well are going to be the teams that are going to get through in the end, and hopefully Contax will be one of those.
I mean, it's the very first game. Anything can happen from now on, so I mean, I don't think you can really use that as a guide.
We were very confident going into this game. We had nothing to lose. The pressure was on ourselves to do well, and we were ready for that, so we knew it would come. It was just a matter of hanging there, constantly talking, constantly pressuring our opponents, and it did come. We ended up coming away with a comfortable victory.
I think because it was our first game, we were still building, still working things out on court, and that is why we went a bit topsy-turvy, but hopefully we'll straighten that out by the end of the series.
CENOVIS were very tough tonight. I think there are going to be a few sore spots amongst the girls tomorrow. But we were prepared for that. We just wanted to play the ball, to keep moving the ball, to keep pressuring, and we did that. It was a tough game, but you know, that's what the MOBIL League is all about.
I feel that was a fairly physical match, but I think it's generally in the Australian netball that you do have that physical play, but I don't think it was anywhere near as tough as the match between Garble and Contax last weekend.
To play intense netball for 60 minutes is what we're looking forward to coming to the finals. You know, we put out probably 45 minutes tonight, and that's not going to be good enough come finals time, so we just want to play good constant netball for 60 minutes, and we think by finals that we can do that.
I think we have to improve in our probably our mental toughness, making sure we stay on the game for 15-minute quarters and make it every quarter. I think we saw ourselves sort of lose a bit of control in the 3rd quarter, but if we could have kept our mental toughness for the whole match, I think we would have won it.